Hi everyone, it's Gemstars with Plastic EP and Cathy CC Carlson. Let me tell you, we got the great Spencer Drate here. How are you, Spencer? Love your t-shirt, man.
It's
Show your
rock and,
t-shirt.
oh, thank you. It's rock and roll in Australia. And
Beautiful. Now let me tell you, we got Ricky Byrd, the man that's inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015 with Joan Jett, Anna Blackhearts. We're all ready to rock out with you, Ricky. Are you ready to rock out?
I'm ready, man.
Hey, Spencer, take it away and tell us about the great albums.
well, Ricky, I've known for years, an incredibly accomplished musician. Besides working with Joan and being inducted, which is a great honor. And by the way, Judith and I are in the vinyl collection selected by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And some of these Joan Jett album covers are in it. Anyway, Ricky's done some incredible CD work. His new, I've got to promote this Sobering Times CD, which has been the recent one, right, Ricky?
Yep, came out April 9th.
Yeah, and you... This album's incredible. I listen to this every so often. Great songs, a great cast of people playing. Mention some of the people on the album.
You know, what I'm looking at is I just got my hair all cut off like yesterday, man. And I'm like, wow, I really did, didn't I? It's so hot here in New York, man. I went to get my hair cut. I said, dude, just take it all off, man. Give me a short haircut. Okay,
It looks great.
Thank you.
Very cool.
It was co-produced with Bob Stander, who I've done 3 records with now, and out at his studio, Parcheesi Studios, that way out in Long Island. And we have Bob plays bass. He's a great musician as well as a co-producer. He played bass. I had on the drums, I had 4 drummers on this record because I just wanted to spread the love around, get my friends on the record, and certain different songs, because I don't stick to one genre really. You know, this is like a recovery rock and roll record. I'm trying to spread a message, so I do, one song's an acoustic song, one song is this kind of song. So depending on the song is who I picked. So we have my old pal Tommy Price, who played with me with the Blackhearts in the Hate Myself for Loving You era. And then we had Steve Holley. Steve Holley played with Wings, with McCartney back in the day, and he played with Joe Cocker. And he's now a member of the Rant Band with Ian Hunter. And we had Liberty DeVito, my pal, who played with Billy Joel for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then we had Rich Pagano, who's a great guy. He plays actually with the Fab Four, which is Will Lee's band. They're a Beatles. What would you call them, Spence?
Yeah, I don't know. Good
Tribute
question.
band.
No, they're not a tribute band. They just do,
Like
Beatles
cover?
songs, but they do them like spot on and a big production. And
Oh, they're
stuff.
like a cover band, Rick.
Yeah, but they're not like Beatlemania. They're
Right.
really interesting, And on keyboards we had Jeff Kazee. Now Jeff Kazee, I've been playing with on different events, and when I played with Southside Johnny for a cup of coffee, as they say here in America, a quick cup of coffee. Jeff Kazee plays with Southside. He's played in the Letterman band. He's just this amazing, soulful, bluesy R&B kind of keyboard player. So he's the keyboard player. Christine Ullman, who's the Beehive Queen, and they call her that because she's got a giant blonde beehive haircut and a hairdo, and she's an amazing, soulful singer. So we've been friends for 25 years too, and I think that's about all I had on this record.
Well, you have a song co-written with my friend Willie Nile, which is a great song also.
Yeah, we have a song called "Recover Me" on there, like a punkish, my punkish side.
Yeah.
That was Willie Niles. Yeah, so I went over to his house. He lives in the West Village, and I just I picked 1 or 2 people I wanted to co-write with.
Yeah.
And the rest I wrote by myself. Richie Supa, who I co-write, he's a famous songwriter, and I've been friends for 40 years. He co-wrote "Amazing" with Steven Tyler and a bunch of Aerosmith stuff, and in fact, he played with Aerosmith for a while. But I love Willie. We never really played together. We've been on. I do a lot of events. I'm always like in the All-Star Band, or it's a it's sort of an event that has to do with glam. So like everybody comes up and does a song, right?
Yeah.
And we've been on the same events, but we became friends, and I wanted to write with him because I just love his soul, his personality, and his songwriting is just great. So I went to visit him. I went to visit him in his West Village apartment, and he lives on the top floor, a walk up, right? And he said you better stop halfway up. Take a rest. And man, sure enough, I got halfway up that freaking building, man. I had to take a breather, you know. And I wrote one song. There's a song called "I Ain't Gonna Live Like That Anymore," and I wrote that with my pal Emily Duff, who's another fabulous singer-songwriter. Plays around, she does a lot of recording down in Memphis too, but she plays around the city all the time, always putting out music. In fact, during the pandemic, and maybe she still does it, every Sunday she's got a Facebook hour that she does. So, it took 2 years to do it time-wise, but that because of scheduling. So it actually only took, I don't know, 2.5 months, if you put the studio days back to back. And it came out in April. It came out at the end of 2020. I put it out.
Yeah.
Just on my website, which is rickybyrd.com. Right. And then we got a distribution deal. So we kind of backed everything up and we put it out for real on April the 9th. And I got a lot of airplay on Little Steven's Underground Garage. Yeah.
And also I want to get into the production. It's a great production album. The sound is unreal. That's people got to know that. It's not, you did a good job on that.
Well, me and Bob Stander, we got a thing now. We got a production thing. It's like I wouldn't even know how. I'm sitting in front of my little home studio, which he's reteaching me how to use, so I could do some work here. Preliminary work.
Yeah.
You see, you got to go in for a fitting. You can't send away. So like when we go into the studio, he's got like a regular cool studio in his basement, but it's like amazing. I don't even know how to turn anything on, right? I wouldn't even, if you said to me, all right, here's $1,000, turn that thing on, I'd be like, nah, I can't, I don't know how to do it. Sorry. But Bob, what Bob is great is like, I could say to him, that this third verse of Whole Lot of Love, that vocal sound that Robert Plant had, I'd like that, right? And he would, dial it right up. So we have a great working relationship. And I think they sound great on the radio. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be driving in my car and one of my songs comes on, Underground Garage. Do you have Underground Sirius Radio in Australia?
Underground. I'm not sure about Underground. We got everything here, including kangaroos here, Ricky.
No,
let me tell you. I got to say, you've worked with the likes of the biggest people. You've worked with Paul McCartney, Ringo, Roger Daltrey, Dion, Elvis Costello. It goes on forever. Billy Squire. Tell me what it was like working with these people. Who gave you a buzz? You know what I mean?
Well, first off, the reason I get to play, the Paul McCartney Ringo thing, and believe me, everybody else was on stage too. Stevie Wonder, Peter Wolf from Jay Giles, Patti Smith, Gary Clark Jr. I'm trying to see them in my head. Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day, because they were inducted that night as well. But that was the Paul McCartney and the Ringo thing. All of these other names, except for obviously Joan, Roger Daltrey, I did a record with when I left the Blackhearts, and I did a radio tour around the country. Then I went out with Ian Hunter, and I did a tour with him of Scandinavia and parts of England. Then I played a couple of weeks with John Waite on a little minor tour, and then I went out with Southside Johnny in 2005 for like a year, But all the other stuff, all the other people that I play with is because I'm always invited to do these events, charity events, for one thing or another. And I'm always like in the band, right, in the all-star band. So it's always like this cool all-star band. So there's like this cast of characters that, we do a lot of these events. So it's always Liberty DeVito on drums, Chad Smith sometimes from Chili Peppers, Simon Kirk could be there, and sometimes Will Lee on bass, or Jeff Carlisi from 38 Special on guitar. So there's a bunch of us that do these events, and we're always backing up these artists. So if you look at my bio and you see these, this list of this ridiculous list of everybody you grew up listening to, that's why, because I get to do these things. So I do 3 songs with this person and 4 songs with that person. But back to your the original question, I'm going to say, besides Paul and Ringo, okay, let's just put that aside. We understand that, right? We understand the thrill of that.
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson and Mavis Staples. Oh,
Wow.
that was ridiculous. I mean,
Wow.
playing guitar for Smokey Robinson, come on.
Yeah. Right.
And Mavis and doing I'll Take You There, and me being the guy that goes bam, right. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. So we're at that show. It's at the Rock Hall, because I do events at the Rock Hall. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mavis Staples. And we had rehearsed in sound check, and I'm standing next to Jeff Carlisi. We stand next to each other because, we if one of us forgets something, G chord, G minor, right? And I go to Jeff and I go, dude, I cannot remember the riff to, I'll Take You There. Like, if you put a gun to my head right now, I couldn't play the riff, and the more you think about it, the more you try to remember it, the further away it goes from your brain. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mavis Staples, she comes walking out on the stage and she turns around, she gives me a big smile, and I go, bam, so there you go. And also got to play a couple of songs with Brian Wilson, and that was kind of sick, I took a picture from the stage. Little Steven was the musical director for that. And I was kind of like Brian Wilson was like right over there. So I took a picture, in between songs. I quickly took my phone and took a picture. But we did we do In My Room? Or we did, we did God Only Knows.
Oh, that's great. Great song.
And we did 2 other songs. So, there's been, and Darlene Love, of course, and, Ronnie Spector. I mean, and doing The Wanderer with my pal Dion, like, it goes on and on, But Elvis Costello, getting up on stage and playing guitar with Elvis Costello, So I've been really blessed like that. Like, I've been able to do a lot of really cool stuff. And, do I miss going out with a band? It's funny because I was talking to Steve Earle last night. Because when the Yankees are on, the New York Yankees, we text back and forth because he's a Yankee fan. And he sent me a picture from his tour bus because he's on the road right now. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do that anymore. I mean, when I was with Joan, man, we were on we were on tour all the time, like months and months and months. You're away from home. When you get home, brief vacation, and then you go in the studio, you start working on some new stuff, right? So it's just, I don't know if I could do that. Maybe, who knows? What I enjoy doing now is the songs on Sobering Times. They all come from me going around to treatment facilities, right? Because that's what I do, right? I'm a recovery troubadour, so to speak, right? Coming up on 34 years in September, clean and sober, right?
Great.
So
congratulations, man.
Thank you. So what I do is I'm trying to spread the message, save some, kids from going through that. And I started off with just a couple of songs, from the last record, Clean Getaway. Yeah. And I kind of went into treatment facility. I reached out to somebody that I knew had a treatment facility, and I said, can I come in with my acoustic? I got these songs that sort of they speak to addiction and recovery and hope. And I started doing that, and I just fell in love with the intimacy, the reaction, the clients in treatment coming over to me and going, dude, like, I was ready to leave treatment, man. I was walking out and like, maybe I'm going to stay now, or you told my story, or man, I understand exactly what you're writing about. And I said, wow, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. That's where the songs came from on Sobering Times. First, it was Clean Getaway. Why did I do Clean Getaway? Because every time I finished one of these groups, they would come over to me and they say, how can we take this music home? And I was like, I don't know, Yeah. And they kept asking me. I said, I guess I got to record it. And that's where the Clean Getaway record came from.
Well, I have this CD, Lifer.
That was the first. That was my first, kind of solo record. I'm sorry. That was the first real solo record before that, there was like a live thing from the bitter end that I did with Simon Kirk on drums and Kasim Sultan from Utopia on bass. But that is not a recovery record. That's just straight up, rock and roll tunes.
Yeah, yeah.
But the two after that are, straight up rock and roll tunes. But the lyrics are about what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy stories, Ricky, that happened to you when you were on tour? Because you've been touring so much, or was it pretty calm?
I have no stories.
Okay, because you had a beginning. Okay, now you have a new beginning.
When we played in Australia back in the early 80s, we played in Sydney. And we played it on the Gold Coast too, but we played in Sydney and we stayed at, there was the famous hotel on Sydney Harbor where all the bands stayed. And it was called, do you know?
I'm trying to think of it because so many hotels there.
It may not even be there anymore.
Hey, can I ask you, was it walking distance just from the Opera House?
Well, that I don't remember, but I know that it was right on the water, and they said this is the Rock and Roll Hotel.
Okay.
So without telling any stories, I could say that I spent a week there one night.
Oh.
so let me get in here, and I want to bring in two albums that Judith and I designed, which Ricky are on. They're very iconic albums. The first one is called Album, and the back photo, group photo, is really great. And I want to get into the inner sleeve. I'll tell you why. On the left, you'll see a great group photo by Mick Rock. But Ricky, the shots around are from the Queen concert. And tell us about that.
And some of those are, I think, like there's a few, something that I took. They were just from my pictures that I took. Everybody had photos. Queen. So let's see. That was that Milton Keynes? That was in England, no?
Yeah.
It was like 4 million people or something.
Oh my God. When you see the photograph on top is like, you see a full house, It's very
I love that picture.
And great shots of you and Joan on the stage.
Is the one of me and Joan jumping at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah,
on the left side. On the left side, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got to live the life that I wanted to live when I was reading rock magazines when I was 14. Watching I mean, there weren't no videos per se, but watching the shows that we had here in America, like Midnight Special. What was the Don Kirshner's rock concert?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a kid, right? So I wanted to do that, and I got to do it. So I'm very blessed and lucky I got to do it. It took its toll on me. I mean, it's a lot of what is it, like an hour? What's the joke? It's an hour and a half of playing, and the rest of the time you're waiting to play, right? There's a lot of time to get in trouble, baby.
This album, Glorious Results, we did, and the back is this photograph. I got to ask you about this. This is a group photograph by Race Cars, by Chris Callis. Ricky, do you remember that?
I like that shot.
Yeah,
I remember taking it. I have no clue where it was. It was at a racetrack, and I don't even ask me where it was. I don't have a clue.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, you realize how long ago we're talking, right?
Yeah, we're talking a long time ago.
We're talking 35 years ago, more than that. So like it was a whirlwind. People ask me like, what was it like when I Love Rock and Roll came out? I mean, I joined the band, we do the record, and we hit the road in like a Winnebago, right? Like, and all of us on this little thing, and we're playing clubs, very hot, sweaty people standing right in front of you. And then the record comes out, and I Love Rock and Roll starts moving up the charts. Now, if it wasn't for management telling us it was moving up the charts, we wouldn't know that, right? Because we're out there on tour. And as it moved up the charts, you could see the crowds getting bigger. And then you'd be in a town somewhere, and you would hear the song on the radio. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're going to be going on tour with the Police, or we're going on tour with ZZ Top, or we're going on tour. So, that's how we knew things would get. And then it went from that little thing to the little, Winnebago to a tour bus. Then there's 2 tour buses, But it's a lot of work, bro. It seems glamorous when you're watching TV, but it's a lot of traveling, like flying, in one day. I remember once we did interviews like in Germany, and then Paris, and then and me and Joan, like at one point we started crying because we were so tired.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
but listen, I got to do what I wanted to do, and I got to play to millions of people around the world, and you know, some people know my name, and I'm eternally grateful. But it is a lot of work. I mean, I could have been a lot healthier, so maybe it would have been less tedious.
Did your parents get into you playing guitar, Rick? Your parents?
Did they
get into you playing guitar and becoming
get me into it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, actually, the Stones and the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show got me into it. But I did ask that after I saw the Stones, that first 1965, I was like 9, not like 9, I was 9, and I just was like, yeah, that looks good. I like that.
Wow.
Because they kind of looked, you know, even if when I was a little kid, I looked kind of like this, just a little kid with no tattoos, right? And they kind of looked scruffy. They looked different. I felt different. Girls were screaming, so that couldn't have been bad. And the best part was Ed Sullivan, the host of the show. You know, I don't know. You're familiar with Ed Sullivan?
Yeah, we got it every Sunday night here in Australia. He was huge.
So he was an old guy, which is funny because I'm probably older than him now than he was then. But
Right.
he was a newspaper guy, right? He was a newspaper reporter.
Right.
And he got this variety show. So you would see all this great, like you'd see jugglers and Broadway shows and like comedians. And then he'd have one for the kids, Tonight for the Kids, you know. And when I saw the Stones on there, and of course the Beatles, I was there was something that was like, I felt something akin to them, you know. And then later on, like, but I got my guitar soon after that because I said, please can I have a guitar? And my mother brought me home. Her boss actually for my birthday gave me an acoustic, which is in the Rock Hall now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was actually my first guitar. And then I saw I think it was '69. So I'm already playing, but I'm just a little kid, you know. There's pictures of me playing. I had the ability to hear a song off the radio, and you know, I'm not saying I did it well, but I could kind of pick out the notes, you know. In fact, I think in school, we had one of those days in school. I went to school in the Bronx. I sang "Happy Together" by the Turtles to some girl. I think her name was Julia, if I remember correctly. But and I probably was awful, but at least I tried. In 1969, the Stones, there was a video of them doing Jumping Jack Flash, and they were all in face makeup. Do you remember that? It was real dark.
Yep. Yeah.
And it wasn't from like the Ed Sullivan Show or something. It was from maybe the Beat Club, that English show, or one of those Top of the Pops or something.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was completely sold. You know, because at that point I was into being dangerous, and it was like, yeah, let's do that.
Hey, Ricky, do you remember?
Let's be a pirate.
I saw the Stones on the Clay Cole show.
Remember Clay Cole? I love Clay Cole.
And they were dressed like, I remember Mick was wearing a sweatshirt with jeans.
The gray sweatshirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that was my intro to the Stones, the Clay Cole show.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know, it was like where you are, but there was that whole thing, like, are you a Beatles fan or are you a Stones fan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't not love the Beatles, but there was something about the Stones. I don't know, man. It was a little greasier.
Yeah.
A bit more rough.
A little bit more rough, but also, you know, more from Chuck Berry. Like I just adore.
Yeah, the blues thing, Ricky. The blues, right? Rick?
Yeah, the blues, and they all started like that. I mean, even the Who were doing James Brown songs when they started, the high numbers, and then they went into what they sounded like, you know. But the Stones continued that path with Brian, because Brian was the blues guy.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody before about this, like we had wonderful radio in New York when I was a kid, right? AM radio before FM and album cuts and what made it great was they played all different kinds of music on one station. It was the top 40, right? So there would be Frank Sinatra, there would be the Kinks, there would be Trini Lopez, there'd be the Stones, there'd be Otis Redding, you know, there'd be Jackie Wilson, you know, Dean Martin. It was all on one station, right?
Yeah.
You know, it was like that was a top 40. Whatever was a hit was being played. So what did that do for me? It let me hear all this music that it was like, oh, I like that. Nah, that's not me. That's great. I mean, I'm a huge Sinatra fan, Dean Martin. I mean, but that's where I heard Wilson Pickett, Joe Tex, those guys. But I didn't know who Muddy Waters was, or Howlin' Wolf, or T-Bone Walker. Like, how did I learn that? Well, that was because when I was a kid, I would read rock magazines, and Keith Richards would talk about this guy, or B.B. King, Albert King. I mean, we knew kind of B.B. King because he was played on the radio a little bit. The Thriller's Gone, but you never really heard Albert King or some of the in deep cats that I'm totally in love with. Elmore James.
Rick, what about Steve Cropper? Right? Steve
yeah,
Cropper.
But see, I didn't appreciate Steve Cropper or knew that he did all what he did as far as co-writing all those songs.
Right.
Until I grew up. And that's where I learned that. In fact, one of those cool people I got to play with was Sam Moore was at one of these events.
Wow. Yeah.
So I got to do Hold On, I'm Coming. And I was the guy, I played the Soul Man. Wow. And I got to play that riff, that opening Steve Cropper riff. So
that's great.
Yeah, and he was cool as hell, man.
Yep.
He was just
it's huge. I got to ask you, Ricky. I'm of the first baby boomer. I'm really a big Monkees fan. Did you like the Monkees TV show and the Monkees? I got to ask you.
Okay, for my first two records that I bought, albums, Jimi Hendrix Experience and the Monkees, the same day.
Can I ask you, was it the first album or the second album?
No, it was the first album. It was that. What was it, like tan? Wasn't it? Was it like yellowy kind of around the corner?
It's got their faces and they're up against the wall. But I got to tell you, if that was the album, my favorite song off that was "Tomorrow's Going to Be Another Day." Man, I wore that record out just on that. You remember the one?
Yeah. And the Monkees were huge here, man. In fact, it's funny because I was listening to a Little Steven's Underground Garage this afternoon, and they played Valerie. And I was like, who plays that freaking solo, man?
You know who it is? It's Lou. It's Lou from here in what's his name? He lives in Australia now.
Lou Shelton
He was in the Wrecking Crew. I'll tell you his name. It'll come to me.
No, wait. Hold on. I'm going to tell you right now because I asked Louis Shelton.
That's it. That's what I said, Lou. Louis Shelton lives in Queensland now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but he also played the riff on Last Train to Clarksville.
Did he really?
Yep. And that was their first song and went to number one before the TV show.
And every time I hear that riff, that song and that riff, I'm like, who played that? So today I actually messaged a couple of my guitar player friends and I asked them, and then I Googled it and it came right up. Lou Shelton.
Wow.
Yeah, from the Wrecking Crew. Exactly.
Great.
It's great. Man, can you tell me a little bit? I got to ask you now, because you're there with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts as a member, and you came to Australia. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, isn't Joan Jett a powerhouse? And you and her together on guitars, right, and singing. I mean, that's got to be like the ultimate. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
We were Australia. We were a good band. We were definitely, and they're great now. But all I have references when I was in the band.
Yeah,
I do remember being in Australia. So we just came from, if I'm not mistaken, we had just come from Japan, right? Isn't the stop on the way you go to Australia from Japan? Isn't that how it works? When you're on
it comes from everywhere now.
Yeah. So we get to Australia, and I remember the first night. And I'm sure Joan was there too. Like, so, sometimes the band went out, sometimes she came out also. And we went to like a disco or something. And I remember we walked in and lights were flashing, but they were playing "Do You Want to Touch Me?" like loud. And we looked at each other and we went, well, that's kind of cool. So, and I don't remember where we played in Australia, which is dumb of me, but I had books and books. We had a bad hurricane here in 2012, and we had a finished basement, and I had all my stuff here, and I lost a ton of stuff. But I had all my gigs from all those years, like written in I always kept diaries, not to write stories, but just to, I'm in Perth, I'm here, this date, And I don't have any of that. But I mean, at this point, you could just go online, man, and just put in Joan Jett and the Blackhearts 1983, and all the gigs come up.
Yeah.
I remember we had a great time. I mean, we definitely always had a great time, no matter where we were. We had trouble spots. That there's some gigs that stick out in my brain. When we were on tour with the Scorpions and we played Germany, and we're playing this like indoor, like Madison Square Garden kind of place. And I remember there was like an incident where the opening band had some cymbals stolen or some kind of, some kind of monkey business, if Chuck Berry would say it. And somehow we got blamed for it, which obviously we didn't do. So when we hit the stage, they were throwing. I got hit in the eye with a battery, man, like a 9-volt, like right above my eye. They were throwing stuff, and me and Joan looked at each other and said, "Oh, we're out of here." And I remember standing next to her upstairs, and the announcer was talking in German, saying, listen, this had nothing to do with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I mean, So there's moments like that I remember, and then there's moments like the Queen show, playing here in stadiums all across the country.
Yeah.
One we played Chicago Fest, which is a famous concert. I mean, I don't know if they still have it. They must have some sort of it, but it's right on the water in Chicago, right? And we were playing after Frank Sinatra, like in a different, like he was over here, and then there was and his crowd, and then there was a gate, and then there was our stage, and he played for, I don't know what time he played, and we went on after him. Different concerts, obviously, different crowds. But I mean, I'm in the trailer getting ready, and I'm hearing like the summer wind, and I'm like, this is like freaking weird. It was like surreal. Like I grew up on Sinatra, and they were nice enough to take me and some of the other guys up and stand on the side of the stage to get to watch them. There's a lot of memories like that, Dion coming on stage and playing with us. I don't know, man. There's a lot of them. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Why don't you write a book?
I just saw a shot of you and Joan playing with Dion today. I saw a photograph.
I posted that. I love that.
That's a great photograph, Rick.
Yeah. I think he's using my Les Paul as well. Which I don't have a long time ago. I remember how I sold that one for illicit substances, if I remember correctly.
So I want to also bring out that I've seen you live play in my life, and you're really good at blues guitar. One thing I think I mentioned to Carol one time, I said, Ricky should do a blues album, even if he covers Robert Johnson or whatever. You're really good at blues, Ricky.
Do we need another blues album from a guitar player?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Gary Clark Jr. does it so much better, I mean, I play pretty good blues. And I had a cool blues band with Bobby T. Torello, who played with Johnny Winter for like 8 years, and my friend Amy Madden, who played with John Lee Hooker.
She's great, yeah.
And it was completely for fun.
Yeah.
And it was just me with a little amp and my Flying V, and we were playing everything from I Just Want to Make Love to You to like Jumpin' Jack Flash, but the Johnny Winter way. And it was a chance for me to be able to do that. Yeah, I think about it sometimes. But there's so many guys like Joe Bonamassa and stuff that really, they make their whole career out of doing that. Like it would be goofy for me to just, I'm more interested in being a really good songwriter. Like right. I take pride more in that, You could teach, you could learn to play guitar. It's really hard to learn how to write a good song.
Yeah. Well, your albums are really good. I mean, your songwriting is really good, Rick. I mean,
thank you. Well, I mean, I've been doing it a long time, so it better be at this point.
So did you ever get to like perform with the Rolling Stones, or did you ever, like, how close did you get to that opportunity? Close. You didn't, huh?
No, never got close.
You wish you could?
Yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah.
I would love to stand on the stage with Keith Richards for sure.
Right.
Just once. And another thing I would love to do, Maggie May with Rod Stewart,
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. Like stuff that like when I was a kid, that was my soundtrack, right? So like, could you imagine that? But I mean, I've been able to through these events that I do. Rod would do it with me just because I have good hair.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I love your cut. Now listen,
You do.
in 1981, when you're with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, right? Can you tell everybody the guitar? If I had to tell you which guitar stood out in your career with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, can you tell me which one it is and tell me more about it?
Well, the black 1977 Les Paul Pro Deluxe is the one, and that's also in the Rock Hall in the exhibit. I think our exhibit's up right now, by the way. I got that guitar in '77 because I was in a band called Susan before that. We were on RCA. We did one record, and we toured with Graham Parker and the Rumor.
Yeah,
we were on the Squeezing Out the Sparks tour here in America, and we went across the country with Graham Parker. And that's the guitar I had with my Marshall amp, and that carried over into. Wait a minute, dude. Is your shirt like electric, or is it just?
No, I made it glow because I knew you were on. I wanted it to reflect off your hair.
Man, I thought I was having an acid flashback or something. But that's the guitar. Yeah, so that guitar made its way around the world with me. It's beat up to hell, you know. It's just completely. I mean, the stuff I did to that guitar. There's no pick guard on it. I changed the pickups. One night when I was bored and a little bit inebriated, I magic marked the white pickups black for no apparent reason. I mean, but it's a great sounding guitar, and I also have my Blue Sparkle 75 Les Paul Deluxe that I have about 5 feet from me, and I use that like in the "Hate Myself for Loving You" video, and that toured the world with me. I mean, I had a ton of guitars. I'm narrowed down to like between acoustics and electric, maybe 20 guitars. You know, I mean, they come and go. Like then, except for those I mentioned and a few others, they're not. They're guitars to me, you know. Like if I want to trade for something else, I'll. But the few of them mean a lot to me. See, those will never go anywhere.
Right.
But the other ones are sort of like they're tools, you know. They're tools.
What's Joan Jett's favorite guitar? I mean, you'd know.
Well, her Melody Maker, right? Her white Melody Maker.
Look at this guitar.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I mean,
I love that album, Spencer. I love it, man.
I don't know what else. You know, I mean, she's used other things. We don't have like any contact now, just because nothing bad or anything. We're in two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
So last time I saw Joan was at the Rock Hall in 2015. So I see her on Facebook. Like people post pictures of her guitars, but I don't know anything about what they're doing, the band. I know they're doing some gigs and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Now, Ricky, I just want to say before we wrap it up, it's been a fantastic and fascinating interview. I just want you to give everyone your links and what you think you're going to be doing from now. If you've got a project or something's coming up, let all the fans know.
Okay. Before I do that, 2 more highlights. How about recording with Roger Daltrey at Abbey Road Studios? And he's doing a song I co-wrote, and I'm standing in one booth with my guitar, and he's singing in another booth, and I'm like, "Well, this is good," you know. Right, you know. We're playing with Roger at a radio at the Carnegie Hall, I think, at a benefit. And I'll tell you one quick story. We got time for one story?
Yeah, of course. We have plenty of time. I don't want to rush you.
So we're playing this event, and it was actually Bruce Willis and Demi Moore when they were married. They had a children's charity. And so I'm in this band, this all-star band, and with Roger, because we're going to do the record, and we're doing Behind Blue Eyes, and I don't know, something else. Maybe I Could See for Miles or something. And we're in sound check, and he's using a wireless mic, right? And I'm like, dude, aren't you going to swing the mic? You know? and he says, "You think I should?" You know, like he's the sweetest guy in the world. He's like, "What, Ricky? You think I should?" Right? And I said, "Can I curse on here?" I said, "Listen, MF, I've been waiting 20 years for this. swing the mic." You know. So the next thing I see is the guy plugging in, taping up a mic, and in the middle of and so we do Behind Blue Eyes, and in the middle when it gets loud, you know, we're playing, and I'm looking straight ahead, and I hear this like buzzing going by my head, And I kind of look out of the corner of my eyes and I see the mic about this close to my head.
Oh my God.
And Roger with a big smile on his face, you know.
Yeah.
That's one thing that was amazing. The other thing was when I was on tour with Ian Hunter. Now, of course, I was a big Mott the Hoople fan. I saw Mott the Hoople in '73 at the help me. What was the theater?
Oh God.
In New York. They played with Queen. It was Queen's first New York show.
Wow.
It wasn't the music hall, was it?
No. I should know this. It's like right on the tip of my tongue.
Beacon?
No, don't do that. You'll never get it.
Palladium? Palladium?
No, it was a Broadway theater, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
It'll come to me. Probably 4 o'clock in the morning. But so you know, we do this tour. We're in Scandinavia, and then we go to England. We're playing, and Mick Ronson had recently passed away. So everybody in the crowd had "We Miss You, Mick" and stuff, which didn't make my job any easier. You know, I'm up there playing guitar.
Right.
But we do. So it's time for All the Young Dudes, right? Now, that was like our rally cry when we were kids. You know, that's like one of my favorite guitar riffs of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you remember the live record, the live Ian Hunter record, I think it was Ian and Mick Ronson record. They do All the Young Dudes, and Mick plays it really, really low. And then Ian goes louder, and the band kicks in. We did it just like that. But now we're in a big theater in London, and everybody's wearing like, you know, Mott the Hoople top hats, and they got these Mick Ryan signs. It was very emotional. And when he said louder, and I started playing that riff loud, dude, I started to cry. Like I had to turn around. It was so emotional.
Yeah.
Because I was just this kid that was just listening to that song with these giant earphones at 14 years old, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I've had like a ton of stuff like that, you know, and yeah, I mean, they're all up here, you know, they're all up here. So what am I doing?
I just want to say this is a fascinating and riveting interview. And I got to say, show the CD up and tell us all your links if you can, Ricky. We know it's www.rickybyrd.com. That's the big place to go to.
So here's the deal. This is my latest release. It's called Sobering Times. It rocks. It rocks like a freight train. We'll clean it up. And the lyrics, like if you're struggling with addiction, you're going to definitely find this helpful. If you're in recovery already, long term or short term, it's going to remind you why you're in recovery. And if you're just a rock and roll fan, it's just, you know, you'll be up there dancing. But it's a pretty cool record. You can get it at rickybyrd.com, signed copies. You know, I always have some swag, like I throw in a guitar pick. I got a T-shirt, Clean Getaway T-shirt I'm throwing in now, and stickers and you know, all kinds of stuff. And so you can get signed copies directly from me at rickybyrd.com, or you could go on Amazon or iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, and listen to it. If you go on YouTube, we just put out a video for it, for one of the songs that's called "I Come Back Stronger." If you go to YouTube and you go to my YouTube channel, you can find the video, and you could also listen to the songs on there. And if you love the songs and you want to help, you know, push along what I'm trying to do here, which is spread that message of recovery around the world, because this is not just a United States thing. Like drug and alcohol addiction is all over the world, obviously. Then pick up a copy and do a nice thing, and it'll give me the ability to keep making this kind of music. And also, when I go to these treatment facilities, once everything's back to normal, although I did do a gig Thursday night at a treatment facility, sober house, which was, wow, it was a year and a half I haven't played live. It was really cool. I bring a stack of records, and I always give them away at treatment facilities. So when people buy this record, it goes back into me doing more music or giving away stuff to the clients at treatment facilities and this and that.
Hey, thanks a lot for my autographed copy, Ricky. I never thanked you, and it means a lot to me.
What did I write on there? What did I write? I always like to come up with a good.
To Spencer, thank you for all the support, Ricky Byrd.
Oh, that was a personalized one. What I usually write is, with words and music, what I've been writing on this one
Yeah.
is with words and music, we press on and pass it on.
Wow. Beautiful.
That's sweet.
Which is about the struggle we're all going through. I mean, we're all going through a struggle, you know, now, right now.
Yeah.
It's just completely alarming and confusing, but, and that's it, you know, we just keep rocking, baby, you know?
Hey, listen, I remember meeting John Waite at, I think it was a get together after your wedding or something. And you're very close with John Waite, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't talked to him in years.
Really?
But yeah. Carol's always like, we're talking about my wife, Carol. She's always like, why don't you keep in touch with these people? It's like, I'm just not that person. I mean, it's not like I don't like him or anything. It's just like I have that habit of sort of, I don't know, man. I'm not a keep in touch guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just got to say, you know, you're doing great things for the world, what you're doing, Ricky, and taking your own time and going around seeing everybody and pushing that cause, as I said. And that's just fantastic as a humanitarian, you know. I'll take my hat off to what you're doing, and we want to all support with what, you know, support you, what you're actually doing there. But I just want to say for everyone out there, I got one thing to say from Plastic EP, from Cathy, from Spencer, and from our famous guest here, Ricky Byrd. I love rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
You agree, Ricky?
It's one thing for sure, baby. It's not a dime in the jukebox anymore.
Thanks, Ricky. That was great. We loved it. Thanks, Ricky.
All right, man.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
love you,
Ricky.
Rick. Byrd is the word.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rick.